Okay. So starting off where we left off, trying to figure out what this paragraph says. Unlike most TLS implementations of HTTPS, such as the World Wide Web, the majority implementations of EAP TLS require client-side X509 certificates without giving the option to disable the requirement. Okay. So they requires a client-side certificate. The supplicant needs the certificate. It's a requirement, and you cannot disable it. Even though the standard does not mandate their use. So it's this client needs to have the certificate, but they don't need to use it. Okay, that makes sense. They don't need to use it. That's strange though, but okay. Some have identified this Some have identified this as having the potential to dramatically reduce adoption of EAP TLS and prevent open but encrypted access points. Okay. So, and what is that? That's a opinion. That's not fact. On August 2012, host a WPA supplicant added support in its Git repository for an unauth TLS vendor-specific EAP type using hostpad WPA supplicant project RFC 5612 private enterprise number. So hostpad added a WPA client for unauth TLS using the RFC for private enterprise number. And on February 20, 2014, added support for the WFA unauth TLS vendor-specific EAP type. Using the Wi-Fi Alliance private enterprise number. So Wi-Fi Alliance, WFA, Wi-Fi Alliance, unauth TLS, using the Wi-Fi Alliance standard. No, that's not a standard. Which only do server authentication. I don't know what that just said. Okay, let's try to read that one more time. Hostpad added unauth TLS in their supplicant supporting private enterprise numbers, then added WFA unauth TLS Wi-Fi Alliance private enterprise number, which only do server authentications. So the supplicant is only a server authentication. This would allow for situations much like HTTPS, where a wireless hotspot allows free access and does not authenticate station clients, but station clients wish to use encryption, WPA2, and potentially authenticate the wireless hotspot. There have also been protocols, proposals to use IEEE 802.11u for access points. And what is U again? U QoS. Okay. Doesn't matter what U is. For access points to signal that they allow EPTLS using only server-side authentication. Using the standard EPTLS IETF type instead of vendor-specific EAP type. Wait a minute. Where did IETF come in from? Oh, it's a RFC. Okay. There have also been proposals to use 802.11u for access points to signal that they allow EPTLS using only server-side authentication, using the standard EPTLS IETF type instead of vendor-specific EAP type. The requirement for a client-side certificate, however unpopular it may be, is what gives EPTLS its authentication strength. Yes. And illustrates the classic convenience versus security trade-off. Gotcha. With a client-side certificate, a compromised password is not enough to break into EPTLS enabled systems because the intruder still needs to have the client-side certificate. Gotta read that again. With a client-side certificate, a compromised password is not enough to break into EPTLS enabled systems because the intruder still needs to have the client-side certificate. Indeed, a password is not even needed, as it is only used to encrypt the client-side certificate for storage. The highest security available is when the private keys of a client-side certificate are housed in smart cards. This is because there is no way to steal a client-side certificate corresponding private key from a smart card without stealing the card itself. It is most likely that a physical theft of a smart card would be noticed and the smart card immediately revoked, then a typical password theft would be noticed. Okay, so EAP TLS requires a client-side. EAP TLS requires a client-side X509 certificate. Don't need that. Okay. Okay. 509 certificate. In the X509 system, an organization who wants a signed certificate requests one via a certificate signing request. CSR, certificate signing request. CSR. To do this, they first generate a key pair, keeping the private key secret, using it to sign the CSR. This contains information identifying the applicant and the applicant's public This contains information identifying the applicant and the applicant's public key that is used to verify the signature of the CSR and the distinguished name. The fully qualified domain name that the certificate is for. Oh. Okay, let me try that again. This contains information identifying the applicant and the applicant's public key that is used to verify the signature of the CSR and the distinguished name, the fully qualified domain name that the certificate is for. So it contains identifying information about the private key and public key used for the request. And inside the request is the distinguished name and the fully qualified domain name, FQDN. The CSR may be accompanied by other credentials or proofs of identity required by the certificate authority. The certificate authority issues a certificate binding a public key to a particular distinguished name. Okay. An organization's trusted root certificates can be distributed to all employees so that they can use the company's PKI system. Browsers such as Internet Explorer, blah blah blah, come with a predetermined set of root certificates pre-installed. So SSL certificates from larger vendors will work instantly. In effect, the browser's developers determine which CAs are trusted third parties for the browser's users. X509 also includes standards for certificate revocation. Certificate revocation. Revocation list. I don't think I'm saying that right. Revocation. No, I'm not saying that right. Revocation. No, I don't think that's right either. Revocation? Nullification, withdrawal, especially of an offer, active revoking. Revocation. Oh, revoke is with a K. And revocation. Revocation. Okay, so it's revocation. For certificate revocation list implementations, X509 also includes standards for certificate revocation list implementations, an often neglected aspect of PKI systems. The ETF approved way of checking the IETF approved way of checking a certificate's validity is the Online Certificate Status Protocol, OCSP. OCSP, Online Certificate Status Protocol. Firefox 3 enables checking by default along with versions of Windows, including Vista and later. Okay, so this is the Online Certificate Status Protocol. Oh. Okay. That's why I have to add it into the firewalls. Gotcha. Structure of a certificate. The structure foreseen by the standards is expressed in a formal language ASN1 abstract syntax notation 1. The structure of a X509 v3 digital certificate is as follows: certificate, version number, serial number, signature algorithm ID, more information, view certificate. Let's see this. Certificate, version, serial number, certificate algorithm ID, issuer, validity not before, not after, subject name, public key algorithm, algorithm identifier, curve public key, algorithm parameters, subject's public key, that's cool. Okay. Certificate signature algorithm and certificate signature value. Okay. Do I need to go any further within this? I don't think I do. I think I understand it now. No. Security. Certificate complexity. No. No, I'm not going to read that. Yeah, I'm going to read the agriculture architectural weakness. Oh, okay. Weakness of this architect. Use of blacklisting invalid certificates using the certificate revocation list and the online certificate signing protocol. If the client only trusts certificates when CLRs are available, then they lose the offline capabilities that makes PKI attractive. If the client only trusts certificates when CRLs are available, then they lose the offline capabilities that makes PKI attractive. Understand that. So most clients do trust certificates when CRLs are not available, but in the case of but in that case, an attacker that controls the communication channel can disable the CRL. Google said CRLs are like a safety belt that works except when you're having an accident. CLRs are like a safety belt that works except when you're having an accident. Ironic. CLRs are notably a poor choice because of large sizes and convoluted distribution patterns. Ambiguous OCSP semantics and lack of historical revocation status. Revocation of root certificates is not addressed. Oh, they don't blacklist root certificates. Good to know. Irrigation problem. Identity claims, attribute claims, and policy claims are combined in a single container. This raises privacy, policy mapping, and maintenance issues. Well, yeah. Okay. Well, let me say it again. Identity claims, attribute claims, and policy claims are in the same container. Okay. That would raise privacy, policy mapping, and maintenance issues. If all three of those areas are in the same container to check the claims, then yes, that would happen. Delegation. Yeah, delegation. Okay. The delegation problem. CAs cannot technically restrict subordinate CAs from issuing certificates outside a limited namespace or attribute set. This feature of X509 is not in use. Therefore, a large number of CAs exist on the internet, and classifying them and their policies is an insurmountable task. Therefore, a large number of CAs exist on the internet, and classifying them and their policies is an insurmountable task. Delegation of authority within an organization cannot be handled at all, as in common business practice. Federation problem. Certificate chains that are the result of subordinate CAs, bridge CAs, and cross-signing make valid, complex, expensive in terms of processing time. Path validation semantics may be ambiguous. The hierarchy with a third-party trusted party is the only model. The hierarchy with a third-party trusted party is the only model. This is inconvenient when bilateral bilateral trust relationships are already in place. What happened? Oh, I pushed the edit button. That's what happened. Implementation issues. Okay. Implementation issues. Implementations suffer from design flaws, bugs, different interpretations of standards, and lack of interoperability of different standards. Some problems are many implementations turn off revocation check. Seen as an obstacle, policies are not enforced. If it was turned on in all browsers by default, including code signing, it probably crashed the infrastructure. DNs are complex and little understood. Yeah. RFC 2822 name has notations. Has two notations. I don't know what that means. Name and policy constraints hardly supported. Key use ignored. First certificate in a big list being used. Key usage ignored. First certificate in a list being used. I think that's an incomplete thought there. Enforce a custom IDO ODI is difficult. Attributes should not be made critical because it makes clients crash. Unspecified lengths of attributes lead to product specific limits. Exploits. Exploits is another time. Okay. So that's a 509 certificate. And that's a certificate authority. I don't need to know about the certificate authority. What is this? Is a signing request. That's later on. I will save that for later. Key algorithms, no, I don't need that. Okay, so now I'm back to the EAP protocol. So that was EAP TLS requiring a client-side X509 certificate. Okay. EAP MD5. EAP MD5 was the only IETF standard track-based EAP method when it was first defined in the original RFC for EAP. It offers minimal security, and the MD5 hash function is vulnerable to dictionary attacks and does not support key generation, which makes it unsuitable for use with dynamic web or WPA2 enterprise. EAP MD5 differs from other EAP methods. Oh. EAP MD5 differs from other EAP methods in that it only provides authentication of the EAP peer to the EAP server, but not mutual authentication. What the? EAP MD5 differs from other EAP methods in that it only provides authentication from the EAP peer to the EAP server, but not mutual authentication. By not providing EAP server authentication, this method is vulnerable to man-in-the-middle attacks. Okay, so I can authenticate the client, the peer, and the server, but I don't authenticate the server against the peer. So something can go in the middle and have that. Okay, that's why that is. Alright, in Windows 2000 and then stopped in Vista. Alright. So this now, that's MD5. EAP MD5 should not be used. Okay, so now we got EAP protected one-time passwords. EPOP. EAP protected one-time password, which is described in RFC 4793, is an EAP method developed by RSA laboratories that uses one-time passwords, one-time password tokens, such as a handled hardware device or a hardware or software model running on a personal computer. Nope, did not get that. I did not get what that said. Okay. Okay. Okay, what did that say? What did that say? EAP protected one-time password, which is described in RFC, is an EAP method developed by RSA laboratories that uses one-time password tokens, such as a handled hardware device or a hardware or software module running on a personal computer to generate authentication keys. EPOP can be used to provide unintegral or mutual authentication. Fun times. Can't say words. Unilateral. 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 Or mutual authentication and key material in protocols that use EAP. The EPOP method provides two-factor user authentication, meaning a user needs both physical address to a token and knowledge of a personal identification number to perform authentication. Okay. EPOP can be used to provide unilateral or mutual authentication and key material in protocols that use EAP. The EPOP method provides two-factor user authentication, meaning that a user needs both the physical address to a token and knowledge of a personal identification number to perform authentication. Okay. EAP pre-shared key, PSK. EAP pre-shared key, defined in RFC 4764, is an EAP method for mutual authentication and session key diversion. Derivation. How many more do I gotta go? Oh, I got lots more to go. All right, well, let's do it. MD5 pre-shared key. Mutual authentication and session key derivation using a pre-shared key. It provides a protected communication channel when mutual authentication is successful for both parties to communicate and is designed for authentication over insecure networks such as 802.11. EPSK is documented in an experimental RFC that provides a lightweight and extensible EAP method. Extensible? That's funny. Method that does not require any public key cryptography. The EAP method protocol exchange is done at a minimum of 4 messages. What does the RFC say? No, that's not the handshake. Where is the handshake? Nope. Nope, that's not the handshake. And using ASCII is not a good idea. Alright. No handshake for that. EAP password. EAP password, defined in RFC 5931, is an EAP method which uses a shared password for authentication. The password may be a low entropy, entropy. The function thermodynamic variables. Yeah, that's what I thought it was. Data transmission, a measure of loss information in a transmitted signal or message. The password may be a low entropy one and may be drawn from some set of possible passwords, like a dictionary, which is available to an attacker. The underlying key exchange is resistant to active attack, passive attack, and dictionary attack. They can find out what the password is on a password attack, but the key exchange is resistant to those attacks. The EAP password is based off of Android 4, and it is in FreeRadius and Radiator Radius servers. It is in Hostpad and WPA supplicant. Okay, now we got TTLS. EAP Tunnel Transport Layer Security. Tunnel Transport Layer Security. EAP TTLS. It is a protocol that extends TLS. It was co-developed by Funk Software and another company, and is widely supported across platforms. Microsoft did not incorporate native support for EAP TLS protocol in Windows XP, Vista, or 7. Supporting TTLS on these platforms requires third-party encryption protocol certified software. Windows started EAP TLS support with 8. However, Windows Phone 8 does not support TLS, while 8.1 does. The client can but does not have to be authenticated via a certificate authority signed PKI certificate to the server. This greatly simplifies the setup procedure since the certificate is not needed on every client. After the server is securely authenticated to the client via its CA certificate, and optionally the client to the server. The server can then use the established secure connection tunneled to authenticate the client. I don't know what that means. I don't know what any of that means. Okay. So I think I'm going to stop right now.